we were talking to Josh today, and I think Eric's going to get his tea, and so he'll be back. Josh, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Brooke, and Nick, thanks for having me back. I'm excited to be a part of White Spider and what you guys are doing with the podcast series. I'm trying to look at you and not Eric because there's so many reasons.
I'm doing the same thing. Here you go. Okay.
So I'm Josh Saffran. I've lived in Northwest Arkansas now for 9 years, and I'm the VP of sales for a frozen seafood company called the Fishing Company. I've been there since December. Very, very interesting industry and lots of impact within the COVID-19 times, which obviously we'll cover a little bit. And then my wife and I are co-owners of a business here called the Gent Place, which is a men's grooming establishment. My wife runs operations here in Bentonville. We've been open for 18 months, and obviously there's a lot to talk about there as far as shutdown and not being able to offer services and how it's impacting local small businesses as well.
All right.
Well, also have 6 kids, and so I don't know what's going to happen during this podcast, who's going to roll in through the back and disrupt, but that is one of the things out of control with working from home.
It is. Yes, I know. My son likes to show up in meetings too, so it'll be fun times.
And I have my oldest girl over here disrupting our podcast right now because she's not cleaning her dishes.
Yeah, we have a lot of togetherness together with our families right now. So yeah.
Yes.
I don't. My wife. Thanks for bringing that up, Brooke. My
wife,
right.
Yeah, your wife. She's all saving the world. So.
Who cares about my personal life?
Super impressive, by the way. I mean, you outkicked your coverage and married way, way, way up. I mean, this is the fact that this lady is leaving home and saving lives in Louisiana. I mean, man, what an impressive feat, man. Seriously, it is really, really touching.
You put me in a corner to have to agree with you and stay serious.
Yes, we just went from lighthearted to very serious, just like that.
Yeah, and I want so much to say something about myself, make a joke about everything, but I can't because it's pretty admirable what she's doing. And I can't.
I just hope she comes back to you. I mean, there's a good likelihood that she realizes that life in Louisiana without you is probably a better place to be. So that's what I'm fearful of for you.
I receive that fear put to me, and I also absorb that, and I will continue to have fear with that. Thank you.
Yes. That went from serious back to comedic, just like that again. Which way do we want to go?
Well, yeah, serious. And let's talk about fish. Let's talk about kind of what you've seen in this since about mid-March.
It's not about fish, Brooke. It's about seafood.
Well, I knew what you meant, Eric. It's really I've been in this industry for about 4 months, and it's a very fascinating industry to begin with. And then you layer in COVID-19. People are ordering seafood at restaurants because they're comfortable and they know how to cook it. And then at home, they're very nervous about spending money on something that they may not know how to cook as well. And so we're finding a lot of people now are saying my favorite dish at a restaurant I go to, I'm going to go and try to make that at home. So we're seeing a lot of new users, a lot of trial. The other piece too is where seafood may not be atop of the food chain, so to speak, from a poultry standpoint. People are normally buying more, there's a higher incidence at home of beef and chicken and pork. They're going to the grocery store right now and they can't find those things. So it's, hey, I need to stock up on meals, and I am going to buy seafood for the first time. So we're seeing a tremendous, tremendous demand like we haven't seen before. The question becomes on the back end, do we have repeat and can we keep people loyal to this new type of meal solution as opposed to potentially going back and forth? We have a website called Seafood at Home where we have recipes out there for folks to say, you know what, I got this salmon now, I have this tilapia, and I don't know the best way to cook it because I've never done it before. Go out to Seafood at Home and learn about making some of your favorite dishes at the house. So
put it in the microwave. Put it in the microwave.
Yeah, and that's probably why we wouldn't cook tilapia and be invited over to the Howerton residence.
Yeah.
Until Tara gets back.
Then
if she comes back,
if Tara comes back,
if she comes back, we'll have tilapia in the microwave at your house.
Well, no, she won't allow that. It'll be good because she'll be here.
No doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Makes all sense in the world. That's
and
interesting.
the other piece with seafood too, which is interesting, is a lot of the supply chain from a processing standpoint happens over in China, and there's obviously pros and cons with that, but from a cost to do business. And now that so much of the issue with COVID-19 is domestic, you're seeing a lot of pork and poultry and beef plants shutting down here. And so it's going to be harder and harder from a supply chain standpoint now to find those products. And you're going to see a lot more availability in store right now on seafood. And so that's going to help continue to drive sales for key retailers.
That's awesome. I mean, it's good in a lot of the circumstances. And you mentioned, do you put all those recipe assets on your product detail pages by any chance, Josh? Just curious.
That is a wonderful question, and a partner like White Spider could help us really move forward with that. We're not great from that standpoint right now, and I think that is an area of opportunity for certain.
It was just an idea. Maybe when the shopper is looking for seafood options to pick up, that they could.
It's my understanding there's a lot of good companies that could help us with that. So if you know of one that you could recommend, let me know, and maybe we could take that conversation offline.
SKU Ninja plus White Spider.
I have a link. I'll send it to you after this.
Is that the www dot?
W. Yeah.
www.
Have the right amount of W's in there?
There's a lot. Yeah. All the W's.
There's four.
World Wide Web White Spider. Do we just add it for us?
There you go. White Spider World Wide Web.
Visionary. Yeah, always put it on the front end.
That's right. Always first. So that's cool, man. Sounds like that you guys are really having to, do some pretty quick adaptations to what's going on, and best of luck there. Let us know if we can help you, Josh Sudin, because our value. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna pitch you on the podcast.
Well, now I'm very surprised and disappointed, all rolled up into one.
So can we move to the Gent's place?
Yeah, let's talk about Gent's place.
Okay.
Sure.
I just wanted Brooke to feel like she's important, so I asked her if we could, but whether or not, however,
he was going to do it anyway. It's fine.
Do it anyway.
Yeah, it's fine.
So let's be serious, Josh.
Yes.
Because you're a serious man. So, Gent's place. Tell us about what's been going on there. How's your reaction going? What's good? What's good about it all?
It's a tough time in the barber, hair salon, massage, nails industry. That they're all closed, and it's challenging. A lot of those folks can't file for unemployment because they're contract workers, and so they're struggling to be able to bring revenue and income home. So what my wife Emily is leading right now is a lot of community engagement in trying to, instead of this barbershop competes with this barbershop, it's pulling everybody together and trying to put a uniform message out there, raising awareness and visibility to the cause right now. And there's a lot of people, a lot of businesses hurting right now. Restaurants, for example, while business is off, they're able to do takeout and other things. And literally the barbershops and nail salons and hair salons they're closed. There's no revenue coming in. Mm-hmm. And so it's a difficult time right now. The Gent's place has a lot of members and folks anxious to come back. And when this is all said and done, the business will reopen, and my wife's very excited to get back to work and to lead the initiative. The hope is it's sooner than later, but safety is paramount right now.
Yeah. So what have y'all been doing, like, as far as internally with your staff? I mean, what's been like the communication, the reaction? How's the culture doing?
Yeah, Emily hosts a Zoom meeting every Tuesday with the whole team, and it's keeping everybody informed. There's so much misinformation out there right now, and there's so much emotion and opinions because there's two sides right now. Side number one off to the left is I need income, I need money, I got bills to pay, and it's a very valid point. And all the way off to the right is I don't want to go back to work because I want to be safe for my family. And it's a very passionate, emotional debate, and both sides are right. And so she's just trying to keep everybody informed on all of the facts and all of the reality, because again, there's too much noise out there that's just driving a lot of emotion right now. So she's paying attention, watching the governor every day. Listened to Stuart Walton yesterday talk about when the economy is going to reopen. and trying to get ready to practice safe and healthy habits when they open up, hopefully in the next month or so.
Yeah. Are y'all preparing like any extra kind of precautions and stuff when y'all do reopen?
Yeah, it's interesting. If you pay attention, Georgia is opening this Friday, which there's a lot of conversation about that.
Yeah.
And there's a list of about 50, 60 guidelines to open. So masks and social distances and what you can and can't do when touching someone's face, and removing all paperwork from I mean, there's just a ton of different things. There's going to be a max occupancy level. So there's everything to do, because business is not going to be business as usual when it opens back up. And she's really working hard right now to figure out what that looks like for the team when they come back to work.
Like, what are some of the details with that, like about precautions and things that y'all be, I mean, do you know of anything that you'll for certain be doing when you start opening?
For certain, there's going to need to be social distancing. So every other barber chair as opposed to one sitting side by side. For certain, there's going to have to be masks worn, both by the staff and by the anybody that's coming in the front door. I mean, those are the bare minimums. The question becomes, are we allowed to wash hair? Because you probably have to take the mask off at some point in order to do that. Are you going to be allowed to shave beards because you're right in somebody's face, as opposed to cutting hair, you're a little bit behind them? So there's a lot of unknowns at this point, but we know for certain social distancing and masks are going to be the bare minimum. And then what else that looks like from an occupancy standpoint, there's a lot still TBD.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a lot. So, I think that one of the things when I've thought about you and your business, is business has already got its own normal challenges, right? Then you add in a lot of these other precautions and all of these other little, details. I mean, how are you handling the influx, I guess, of additional type of things to do? And how would you encourage any fellow entrepreneurs out in the community?
I think, look, the reality is for most businesses, whether it's a gym, whether it's a barbershop, whether it's a nail salon, whether it's a frozen seafood company, business is not going to be the same as it was pre and post. And so what are you doing to evolve? Working with somebody like yourself, going back to the fishing company, online grocery, and getting ahead of that kind of stuff now, because walking into grocery stores is going to be a very, very different vehicle moving forward. And so if people were starting to migrate to online grocery beforehand, the evolution is going to now be a revolution, and it's going to happen very, very quickly. So any small business, any entrepreneur, any CPG company has to really think now of what are the proactive steps I want to take, because business is not going to be business as usual for here on out.
Yeah. And then, you mentioned, when I talked to you the other day, you told me some pretty cool stories about some of your customers supporting some of your staff. Can you tell us some of those?
Yeah, it's we happen to be fortunate to live in a community right now that may be impacted in some areas a little different, because it's typical salaried people that are working from home and maybe not feeling the impacts of unemployment as in other parts of the country. Although that's not to say that's not happening here in Northwest Arkansas, but with the amount of Walmart, Tyson, and suppliers here, I mean, people are typically salaried, and a lot of people got bonuses and other things in March with Walmart and or in the supplier community. So we've had a tremendous amount of people reach out to Emily and ask, hey, can I leave a gratuity for this one? Or how do I leave a gratuity for that one? How do I prepay for future appointments? How can I buy gift cards to support the business right now? And so we've been very, very touched. And the grooming specialists who right now are out of work collecting unemployment are really just blown away by the support from the loyal Gents Place members.
That's really cool. That's really cool. What do you, how are you feeling? Like, I mean, like do you feel like that all this circumstances is making a positive impact to just the community in general?
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on right now. I'm wearing my Give Back NWA Strong shirt today. There's a lot of local businesses and a lot of support that's being driven by a lot of local businesses. I'm very proud from the fishing company, for example. It is a national company that's headquartered in Pittsburgh, but 40 of the 60 people work here in the Rogers office. And the executive team said, you know what, we want to help support local. And they said every single employee in the company is getting a $50 a week stipend to go expense meals at local restaurants.
Awesome.
Every employee can spend $100 per pay period and be able to give back and help support the local community here. And that is so top of mind for so many people right now, is support local, buy local, help local. Emily partnered with a restaurant that said if you buy $50 of a business at the Gent's place in a gift card or in services or product, and get a $10 gift card to go to a local restaurant. So there's so many ways the community is looking right now to support that. And that's just bringing people together in a time when you can either put your head in the sand and say, woe is me, or try to find a way to really be relevant and help out all of these small businesses, not just one.
Yeah, that's excellent.
What are some of your favorite takeout restaurants?
Oh, wow. You're going to put me on the spot because there's so many here.
He likes Burger King,
Yeah.
Wendy's, McDonald's, and Subway.
Whopper Jr.
Yeah.
I, as somebody in the seafood industry, I really have a passion for blue and bluefish and what Barry does over there. They have tremendous fresh seafood. And so when I'm learning about frozen seafood at work, then I'm going to chat with Barry, and he's talking to me about different species and how to cook things. So I really, really enjoy the food there. That would probably be my go-to for right now. I'm really spending a lot of time in helping those guys out quite a bit.
That's good. Good for you, man.
Awesome.
You're actually doing something nice for someone else for the first time.
Yeah, when you peel back the rough layer on the outside, there is a warm, mushy heart there somewhere buried in there on the inside.
Somewhere.
Very, very deep.
All right.
And so what else you got, Brooke? You got anything else to ask?
I always want to talk about food because I love food, and we always do these in the morning, and it's always a morning that I forget to eat breakfast. So that's why I was like, "Ooh, restaurants! Maybe I want to go out
really
to a local restaurant tonight." Huh?
You're usually extremely mean when you don't eat breakfast.
I'm on my best behavior right now. I ate a granola bar right before this, so I've had a little bit of food, but I'm still hungry.
I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to make we do have that 10-minute warning, so we have about 10 minutes to just kind of go over anything else that anybody wants to talk about. Is there any other special message? Like, what kind of silver lining have you been seeing? What's the silver lining that's going to come out of this?
I think for a company like the fishing company right now, it's we're doing some unique things because this work from home and this work remote is very, very different. And the team is doing a Thursday afternoon optional social hour where people are coming in and just chit-chatting, not talking about the P&L and the forecast, but talking quite a bit about how are you doing in this environment. You got extroverts that are like myself that are really struggling without interpersonal activity. And so everybody's finding a way to connect. And then every Friday, there's a lunchtime Zoom meeting with the whole company that's very themed. And so last week it was wear your favorite sports. The week before it was wear prom attire. This week it's wear your favorite decade. And so just finding ways to stay connected in a time when I can't walk over, and when I see Eric, I always give him a hug and say hello and shake hands. And this is as close as Eric and I can be right now. And so it's really an interesting time to figure out different ways to connect as opposed to the ways that we have done historically. And I'm very proud to see the way that the fishing company's been able to bring people together, 60 people on a Zoom call, when right now it's really hard to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's so good for morale. It's so good for the culture. And that's what Emily's doing with her team weekly. And none of them are employees right now. And she's got them all chatting and having a social hour on Tuesday nights. And it's being connected right now when everybody's struggling is so important.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Definitely. I like that idea of the themed lunch. That's really fun. On the prom attire, is it just like from like the waist up prom attire, or did you do?
So we had some folks that went. I mean, a lot of the ladies went full out with the hair, from the awesome. 80s or the 90s, or they're like just big hair. We had some folks wearing bow ties and jackets. I don't know that anybody had the full suit on because typically you can only see from the top up. Like, I'm not even sure Eric's wearing pants right now, quite honestly.
We don't know. I
I
know.
almost stood up to prove it, but I felt like that could be, technically inappropriate as well.
Kathleen.
Kathleen, where you at? Yeah.
This is awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us and talking to us today.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me back. I guess I did good enough last year to be invited back. We'll see if I get invited back for a third one next year.
Third
That's
one.
TBD.
Yay.